COT's base of operations is right here at thecounciloftime.com. COT has no other outlet or venue. These are other folks who will rebroadcast. Anything COT does is by the main page here at thecounciloftime.com.
Joining us right now from somewhere around the world, Mike from around the world.
God bless you, Pastor Paul.
How you doing? How you doing, Mike?
I am doing.
You're doing. I guarantee you're doing. Oh, well, you know, I won't apologize. You know, I was trying to, after the Zelensky meeting, we were trying to get you. I was trying to see if I could get you on Sunday night, but man, for 3 days you just kind of went dark, and that means something was going on. And then you gave me a couple chilling, you gave me a couple chilling emails. So what's going on, Mike? Has somebody got their finger? Did somebody have their finger on the button? What's going on? Pastor,
I'll tell you, if the Zelensky conversation is a very good one to analyze. This guy was incredibly defiant, right?
Yes.
And of course, they had a conversation prior to that conversation, but somebody got to him before that.
Yes.
Right. Somebody talked to him before that. Somebody talked to him a day before that ever took place. And it was his confidence was so built up. These other folks now really gives you an insight into what's happening behind the scenes. Right. There's an active conflict with the world right now. You know, most people, they believe what they see on television. They're at, you know, they have relative peace. What they may not understand is there is a vigorous war of ideologies happening right now, right? It's starting to show in not only Zelensky, but also the president. He almost lost his temper during that.
He did, yes. He almost did. Yes, you're right.
He did. And that continues, you know, that same sentiment is continuing because he realizes what's at stake, right? There's some things at stake that a lot of people may not be aware of. We have a rollout of lots of brand new weapons, Pastor. They're being deployed. Not just a rollout, but they're being deployed, right? We have a problem with everybody knows we have a problem with aircraft.
Yes.
It's going to become more apparent. There's an active type of battle with aircraft computers and guidance systems taking place, and it's becoming treacherous. I mean, treacherous. Now, you know, with for example, yesterday, those bombs were dropped in the wrong location. Right, their excuse was coordinates were entered into the wrong, you know, grid zone. That's an example of a total loss of control. If that can happen in training, right? If it can happen in training with oversight, with you have active commanders who are looking at those coordinates, and somebody can drop a bomb on somebody's house, right? Yeah. And you have at least 13 to 20 people looking at those coordinates, double checking those coordinates. You have supercomputers, right, which are running simulations before that ever takes place. You can't have that type accident. No one has ever heard of that type accident, right? Certainly not out of those types of aircraft.
Well, are you saying that it's an accident, or was there or was somebody given wrong coordinates purposely?
Well, think of it this way: we have that was they keep telling people that was a guidance problem. That's probably one of the most truthful things they ever said. But so did the Black Hawk helicopter. It had a guidance problem.
Yes, right? It did. Yes, it did.
So did some of the other aircraft. They had a guidance problem. I can almost guarantee we'll see an air-to-air collision within a week or so. That's going to be another guidance problem. There are lots of pilots who have been reporting that their aircraft have taken a sharp, dive into the ground and still saying, their altitude was too high, or it starts shooting straight up. You know, if you're flying at 15,000 feet, your aircraft starts going straight up and it's saying low altitude, something is wrong, right? So somebody is out there with high-tech devices spoofing GPS systems,
Mm.
spoofing 8S systems, and all these different radar systems of aircraft.
Hmm.
It's only a matter of time before they get a hold of one of the a real bomber, right? Which is what they're after. Because if they can fool the system of a real bomber, right, that carries real payloads,
Right.
somebody's in deep trouble,
Mm.
right? We're getting close to that accidental point. There are too many aircraft deployed, too many things, too many ships deployed, too many active nuclear weapons deployed. And now we have people actively trying to jam the computer systems of these aircraft and ships.
That's not good. Well, that's why you're saying we're seeing air collisions, we're seeing ships colliding, we're seeing near misses on airports. I mean, you're sounds to me like you're concerned that there'll be some bomber somewhere carrying maybe even a nuke.
We have them all the time.
It could. What if somebody hijacked it and it crashed and it landed?
Right.
You know, it would be devastation. Are you concerned
That's
that
right.
could happen?
Yes, I am. Because all somebody would have to do is what they have been doing is messing with our GPS systems. What people may not know this, but the U.S. runs the GPS systems for the entire globe. USA does. So if somebody ever gets to our system, or if we have some sort of sabotage internally, there's going to be trouble in China, right? And it's going to be a bad problem. And it seems that something near or something close to that scenario is taking place. Because how in the world will somebody get those active GPS codes?
I
Right?
don't know.
These codes change multiple times per second. It's an unhackable
What?
system. So how can somebody spoof that?
Well,
Right?
unless we
How
got.
can somebody spoof that?
Do we have? I guess my question is, but do we have somebody on the inside that's sabotaging or directing or recalibrating, or is it some kind of AI capability that can decode this on the fly? I mean, I don't know.
And that is the problem, right?
Yeah.
This is an internal problem, not external.
Okay.
This is not extra. It's not coming from some external source. This is coming from an internal source that is quite adapt to our systems, to the Air Force systems and Space Command systems. So that's a big problem. That's a big problem. And that's not going away. And then when you see the attitudes or sentiment of Congress itself,
Oh,
right, which was that's bad for the whole country.
it
Right?
really is.
It's very
It
bad
really
for the whole
is.
country. You have people that will not. There's no more compromise in these folks.
No.
And if you think that the Democrats and Republicans, or the Democrats, they sat there like children with signs.
Yep.
If you think that was bad, you should feel the atmosphere of the entire world. We have foreign adversaries who will not compromise. They will tell President Trump anything he wants to hear for the moment, but they're working behind his back. Canada, for example, Canada and Mexico, you're going to continue to hear things out of them. You're going to continue to hear things out of all the other nations, right, who do not agree with what President Trump is doing.
Well, UK, France, Germany. I mean, a lot of our NATO allies, they seem to be, they shake his hand on one hand, but they're stabbing him in the back on the other. He don't know who to trust.
That's right. That's right. And it's getting worse. It's getting to a point now where they're not going to compromise. They're not. Their own internal ideology is everything they worked so hard for is gone. Right. I'm telling you now that's going to translate some of the most vicious times we've ever been in.
So, Mike,
Vicious.
When you sent this email to me Wednesday afternoon, I did not read it on YouTube. I thought I better just wait and maybe ask you to. Can you comment on this? Can you break it down in some kind of coded way? Because this is dark. Is maybe as dark a thing you've ever brought out, and you had to be in the midst of something.
It's close. It's very close. It's one of those unrecognizable issues that it seems no one can escape. And it's not only building, it's spreading. Let me give you an example on one front. We have the troops in Mexico
Okay.
who have staged, obviously, this cartel capture, right?
Yes.
I'm using that word staged because the cartels have been actively probing into officials in the USA. Okay. Um, they're also doing things actively in the USA. They're passing messages by order of death in the USA. This is happening right now. So
Assassination. I mean, are they ordering
yes,
assassin?
yes, yes. You're talking about there's there are elements within the USA right now that is going to be very difficult to get out. These guys are active. These guys are planning. But here's one of the errors. Mexican cartels are not Mexican cartels.
Okay.
Mexican cartels are those foreign adversaries.
Okay.
They are enemy states, is what they are. They are Iran, right? They
Mm-hmm.
are elements of China, and all these other places that want to get to us. The cartel element is a frontal element. Behind that is a massive machine, right? I mean, a massive machine. And it's very difficult to trust anybody because you're talking about nations who have everything we have, right?
Yeah.
And they do things through what they call a cartel. Now, what people are going to begin to have to confront is the violence and attacks from cartels on a large scale. They're not going to stop. They're going to keep coming. That's just one front. That's only one front. And it's a real front that's going to cost real lives, right? So that will continue to escalate.
So,
And
so you're saying that the drug cartels is the front man for the bigger enemies, with, let's say, it's the Iranians, the radical Islamists, the Chinese, the communists,
that's right.
the beast that wants
That's
to
right.
overthrow America and Israel, let's say, or whoever else gets in its way. So we're going to see more. Are you saying we're going to see more cartel type violence here in America along the border,
Oh, yes.
both sides
Yes.
of it, or even beyond?
It'll be organized. So, because imagine a missile flies into somebody's house.
That's not
Imagine
good.
that. Why do you think President Trump wants a more robust air defense system over the USA right now?
An
Now
Iron
we have
Dome.
Patriot, we have elements of Iron Dome, we have a laser grid, we have a detection net grid, we have all sorts of air defense capabilities, right? He says it's not enough because he knows what we're facing.
He knows that they have ability to attack us. We're vulnerable in a lot of areas. He wants to build an Iron Dome over America some type of way. Well, let me ask you this: there's a weapon I was informed today called a Rapid Dragon.
Yeah.
I guess it was classified, but it's no longer classified. And so I was going to ask you if you could tell us what is the Rapid Dragon, and I guess it's now been deployed or it's in play, and I don't know where it's at or what it. Can you tell us?
Think of it as a bus. Think of Rapid Dragon as a bus or a pod that carries kinetic weapons inside, like a bunch of sable rounds and a bunch of other kinetic energy rounds, right? Which are quite dangerous. Which means as they travel, they get faster and their mass increases until they hit the target. So think of something like that. Now it can carry multiple munitions inside of it. So they drop that bus and then those munitions go and get their targets. Similar to what Russia has. This is a direct counterpart to what Russia has, right?
So
we have that too.
It's something that's in the air. It flies.
Oh yeah, yeah.
And
they
then
drop it like a bomb, and then
Okay.
it deploys multiple munitions out in lots of directions.
And it's stealth.
Right? Yeah.
So you don't see it coming. You don't know it's coming. The enemy, nobody would know where it's coming from or where it's
No,
going.
not really, because unlike you don't have to. It's not like an old bomb where you have to drop it right over the target.
Mhm.
You don't have to do that, right? Because every munition is powered. It has its own thrust in a lot of cases. So for example, drop from a C-17, you can see cruise missiles come out of it. right?
Okay.
Depending on what payload is actually being carried, it is quite destructive. Um, it can do a lot of damage with in that one drop. So yeah, it's a very dangerous weapon.
Are these
Very
different? Are
dangerous
these
weapon.
different things that shoot out from it? Each
Yeah,
one,
you can
are they
arm it. You can
precision? Each one,
yes. You can arm it differently. You can put you don't have to use precision. Say for example, if you were going to evaporate a grid, you
Yeah.
can put whatever you need there to do that, or you can fill up full of cruise missiles. Or so essentially, think of it as a smart bus that knows how to release munitions, right? Something where people can't get shot at, destroyed, or something like that. So it will let out its own munitions. That idea, by the way, came from Russia
Mm-hmm.
because they have a nuclear weapon that's that way. They
No.
launch they launch a nuclear weapon, right? And it's called a bus. Will come off of that
Okay.
nuclear weapon. More than 100 smaller nuclear weapons are on the inside of this thing, and they will go to individual targets. So Russia can do real damage. Russia can do some serious damage. They gave the world an example. But yes, they have the launch vehicle. They have the separation and targeting capabilities. And so, of course, we counter things like that. China has something very similar also, except China, each warhead has a radar shielding around it, right? So anything that touches that, or I'm sorry, microwave shielding. Anything that touches that microwave shield is toast.
So it's like a force field. It's an
It is a force field. They also have microwave shielding on their aircraft.
wow.
Yeah, they do. They
Oh,
do. So China is very smart when it comes to condensing, right? Weapons like that. For example, the contract for the Patriot missile, when it was given out a long time ago, uh, the Chinese were the only ones that fit the entire system, the radar and the missile pods, on the back of a small truck. They were the only ones that were able to do it. So imagine the Patriot system, cutting edge air defense system, not in several different pods with a giant radar, but all of it on the back
of a
of one
pickup
Humvee,
truck,
yeah,
a
or a pickup
Humvee.
truck or something like that. And that totally blew everybody away. This is what they can do. So they can, not only can they mimic technology, but they can master how that technology was built. They can then duplicate it and add improvements and customize it.
Mm-hmm.
They can do all this. They took an aircraft, passed the ball, back engineered it in a week, and had it flying by the end of the week. Who? Nobody else. There's no other country that can do that. No other country but China.
Wow.
No,
Wow.
there's nobody else can do that. And every single admiral knows this. Every single general knows this, and it is a major threat, right?
Are
So if this world, if we don't have some semblance of peace, if we don't establish that, it's already past the point of a stalemate or anything like that.
well, let me ask you this. This week or yesterday, maybe, we turned off the space capability for Ukraine to know what's coming at them or to coordinate their own weapons. Now, is this why I'm going to ask this? I know that Elon Musk is involved with Doge and use all of his geeks, and they're digging stuff out and they're uncovering the sins of the beast. But he's also got to be there, sitting there next to the president, because of the capability to shut off satellite systems is a type of warfare. Am I right?
Well, let's say that Elon must have. There's a reason Elon is there. He is the most qualified to do what he does. So let's say Doge is one part of what Elon does.
Okay, that's fair.
We live in a digital world, right? For a long time we have lost command and control of that digital domain.
Mm-hmm.
We have to have full accountability of everybody within that digital domain. And the reason why is because the most damage can be done by those who can occupy that digital domain, right? The people, there are ways they can send commands. Um, to just about anything through the internet, right? It's important right now that Elon find out who's friend and who's foe. That's important right now. You have to know that. There are infiltrators in this country, right?
Yeah, you're talking about within our government, our bureaucracy,
yes, they're bad actors.
Our military apparatus.
They're bad actors in this country. And they could kill us at any given moment.
Yeah.
Let's put it that way. You're talking about there are people embedded who are embedded for no other reason than to destroy us from the inside out.
Yeah.
And in their own terms, all in one day. Now, can that be done? You better believe it. They can coordinate a strike like that, and you can do that in the digital domain. But if Elon has accountability, if they have accountability of that digital domain, and they at least know who they're working with, right? Who's American,
words,
who's not, who's loyal, who's not.
You can limit the number of people who have the knowledge if you can contain, or if you are able to carouse the knowledge or the capability or the technology.
Well, think of this. If you know who is loyal and who is not, when you implement the new system, you know who not to put in that new system.
Yes.
You know who not to give that control to.
Yes.
Because I'll tell you right now, a brand new system is right on the horizon. And everybody from the old system is going to be put in the new system who is, in fact, loyal. Everybody who is not loyal, they're not going into the new system, nor will they have permissions. So let's just say a much bigger system awaits. It's ready, right?
Is it a security system, or is it a this
is an all-inclusive system.
Okay.
All-inclusive. You're talking about a system that covers everything, Pastor Paul.
Okay.
Everything. Okay. Once this system is everybody is transferred to it, there will be no more criminal acts in that system. There'll be no more betrayals in that system. No one can hide that system. And AI is all over that system, right? So you're looking at a system that is all-inclusive. And the world, if they're going to work with the USA, they're going to have to also be a part of that system, period. Now, I know what a lot of people are thinking, well, that sounds like the beast. Well, let me share this with you. Satan works in a very common way, I've noticed by reading in the Bible, of course,
right,
and in real life. He will take a very good and wholesome idea meant for peace and security.
Mm-hmm.
He will then wait until somebody else takes that seat of leadership and then corrupt that person. Thus, then that system is his. And in my opinion, I think that what Satan is doing, he is allowing people to go forward with technology in big steps.
Okay.
But you better believe when the era of President Trump or the folks like him who care about this country, when it's over, he already has people lined up to step in there and do evil things with that same system. Because with this system, because it's going to be tied, because it's right now it's tied into everything. If a bad person takes control of this system, right, it's game over. It's going to be game over.
Let me change gear just a little, but not much. When President Trump met with the hostages who have come out of Gaza yesterday, and there was 8 of them, and he spent about 2 hours with them, and they told him what they went through. He was so angry, he got on Truth Social and he threatened Hamas and said that they were dead, that he would kill them every one. Does he have the capability to do that? I'm not saying not.
Yeah, he does.
He don't want to kill there's 2 million people there. So does he have the capability to?
Sure he does.
Okay.
Sure he does.
Is it a different kind of weapon? Is it something new that we haven't ever used before? Is there something else?
Well, he's got that capability.
Okay.
In fact, Pastor Paul, when we're talking about capabilities, it's important to know that mankind has achieved quite a bit, right? And in fact, some of the disclosure, which is Elon must be in time with, people are going to find out that we have built something akin to a space ark a few times, right? Just mind-blowing. There's technology out. Well, people know of the ISS.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
There are other stations out there.
Oh, So it's not. So the ISS is not the only station. We've got.
No.
Are there human beings in them? Others?
Yeah, there are other.
Do we have
things out there.
bases on the moon already?
We've gone a lot further than what people know.
Are we already?
We've gone a lot further.
Okay. I mean, Trump said, the other night, we're going to, before he's done with this term, we're going to stick the U.S. flag on Mars. I wonder, do we already have the flag on Mars?
Well, I'll tell you what, if we were on Mars, right, you just can't disclose that story as truth. You can't tell everybody, okay, everybody, we've been on Mars.
No,
right?
you can't say that. You can't say
do
that. Not yet, no.
The only way you can actually compensate for that big lie that's been told throughout history is to have a craft that can, within 3 days, reach Mars, right?
Okay.
Build it here on Earth so everybody sees it, and then go just simply fly that ship to Mars. That's the only way you can do that. Then you can say, we put our stuff up there and nobody's going to question anything. See, because some lies that have been covered up are they're so terrible. There's such a secret, and so many people were involved. They can never disclose it. It's just like this UFO disclosure thing. There are certain lies that have been told they can never untell them. Right? They just can't tell somebody the truth. Somebody's going to have to dig it up. My opinion is true disclosure will take place when some civilian has irrefutable evidence of a real close encounter, which that day is not far off. But that will be a true day of disclosure for everybody. They're not going to voluntarily put all this forward because, listen, if they ran into ancient technology a long time ago, you better believe they have back engineered everything they can.
So,
and they have used it for nefarious reasons. They have not used it for the welfare of humanity as one would believe. Because when you have groups, just like Democrats and Republicans, right? Look how separated they are by simple ideologies.
It's terrible.
They're throwing a tantrum. They have a habit of throwing a tantrum when somebody loses, right?
Yep.
So this has been going on for years. There's no compromise with that, is it? Never. There's never. And we're talking about just ideologies. We're not talking about life and death things. We're talking about ideologies. If they cannot compromise on that because they're trying to impress their constituents, then they've been living this fake life, this fake sheltered life. They don't know what it is to struggle. They don't know what it is to be nervous about paying bills or something like that. They're disconnected.
Yeah.
So they're going to keep that high-minded, hypocritical stance against one another. They'll never unify. Not like that. They won't unify. And because they won't unify, you better believe that if anybody got hold of technology, it would empower a person's ego. And they would feel themselves to be higher than everybody else because they have something special. And at that point, they're not going to share it with anybody else, right? Because the Bible speaks of mammon. That's essentially, this element of greed and lust that we have within us that is never ever satisfied. We always need more. We need to be the top dog, the one that everybody goes to. When somebody gets that type mentality, they're not willing to let it go, and they will fight till the death to prove themselves right. So in this case, when you have breakaway civilizations or breakaway groups, they're not going to just come back and say, okay, we tricked you. We're going to share all this stuff with you guys. That will never take place. It'll never take place.
So we're talking about the UFO here thing. Of course, we got this Alien Encounters webinar in 2 weeks, and tomorrow, Mike, I'm going to be interviewing people who are willingly going to. We're going to take 3 hours. My youngest son, and I are going to do this, and we're saying if you've had an encounter, if you've had an encounter, a UFO, a UAP, a USO, which I think you were the first to bring that out. Now the government's confirming there's USOs, unidentified subterranean objects, okay, coming out of the bottom of the ocean or wherever. If you think you've encountered, a gray or a tall white, a Nordic, or you think you've met an alien or a reptilian or a demon or a fallen angel or whatever, and there's no doubt people have had
Oh, yeah,
encounters
they have.
by the thousands. So,
They
Mike,
have.
Mike, you know they're having. You're saying, so whenever I'm interviewing you, and you and I are talking for this webinar in a few days, are we going to be able to disclose some things so that the body of Christ knows before the governments disclose and try to use it as a lie?
Yeah, because the government has already disclosed certain subjects, right?
Okay.
Because they disclosed it, it's no longer classified.
Okay.
That's why it's good to watch what they disclose, because everything they disclose, they give everybody else the right to also disclose.
Okay.
Right? So whatever subject they start speaking about, if somebody has knowledge of it, their NDA is no longer in effect because the government spoke of it. So they can also do the same
So
thing. Some
could-
people are still under an NDA on a certain
I
subject,
understand that.
but they have talked about enough things.
So
Enough things that a person can really come forward with quite a few things.
So it's possible I might ask you if if there's been some re-engineered
Sure, you
crafts.
You could.
I could
Yeah.
ask you about breakaway civilizations.
Yeah.
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 And
Now also for your
Mhm.
audience, it's critically important that no one embellish anything. That's where the surprise comes from. If everybody would tell the absolute truth without embellishment,
yes.
then they would see something so clearly. I tell you, Pastor Paul, the truth of this whole situation is often lost because a person will try to make something make sense. And so I humbly request that people don't do that. If it didn't
I
make
agree.
sense, just describe it as is.
As
It's
what
important
you-
that each element, that's right, that each element be authentic. And because it will, then that person will say, wait a minute, somebody else went through the exact same thing, right? Or this happened to this
Right.
person, the exact same thing, or this matches up with this name or that name. Telling the truth about either a dream or something like that happens is extremely important, because one altered part can just ruin the authenticity of the whole thing, and it will no longer fit. So I'll say, the Lord knows what he's doing when he has us, when he allows us to go through things like that. So if we are authentic in keeping it, just as we went through it,
This is good
all
advice.
of us could learn, we could take from it. All
This
of us
is
could
great
learn from it
advice.
big time.
Tomorrow, if you are one of the people that share your story, just tell us exactly as it is. Don't have to make it grand. Don't go. Just be really real with us.
Yeah.
So that people, you're saying, so that other people can say, okay,
That's
now,
right.
now I'm not the only one, or now I'm starting to understand what it is, and then maybe
That's
Mike,
right.
I'll be able to run some of those through by you, and maybe there can be some explanation.
Yeah, you could. That's like that one craft we talked about the other week, right?
Yeah.
And I was specifically looking or looking for someone who encountered that jet noise, and then it went to silence. That's very, very, very
Yes,
important.
I remember that.
The people are going to find themselves living in this because I'll say something. A brand new race is already on the planet.
Okay. Whoa. Okay.
A brand new race is here on the planet.
Brand new race is on the planet.
Yeah, it's on the planet. And I don't really speak of it, but there's a brand new race on the planet. Think of it this way, Pastor Paul, a long time ago. Now, folks, nobody go racism or anything like that. But in the time of the 80s, interracial marriages were taking place, right?
That's true.
In the 80s, the UFO phenomena was taking place by way of abductions, big time.
That's
right?
true.
And spiritual encounters were taking place, but they had a common influence. It caused people of the opposite races to be attracted to each other on a massive scale, right? At the exact same time, ideas of prophecy came into people's minds big time.
That's
right?
true. That's true.
In the 90s, it maximized, probably about 1993 or 4, it maximized by way of prophecy. And then about 2015, it's almost like everything shut off. That's what it's like 2000.
Are you mean the fascination just kind of ended, or they? Or
no, not fascination. Some of the prophetic encounters.
Just shut down.
For example, it was almost like there was something here that was reaching out to a lot of people, and all of a sudden in 2015, it was that activity died down, right? And in fact, anybody who ever talked about alien abduction from 1982 to about 2015, their phone was tapped.
Uh-huh. They were under
Right? The
surveillance.
phone was tapped. Yes,
Okay.
because the government does not know as much as people would think. Even the people that know, they don't know as much as they think. They could have a craft right in front of them. It does not mean they understand it, right? That's not what it means. So, but in 2015, that activity went down, but something had already happened. Interracial marriages took place. Children were born light skin, similar features. There are 12 sets, ironically. So with these interracial children, there's a phenomena happening. They're it seems like they look similar, or like all of them look like relatives, right? But there are 12 different sets of them. So follow me on this. You may go to a school and see maybe 10 children that look similar, right?
Okay.
They even dress similar and they do similar things. You go to another school and then you see they look different from the first set, but they're similar, right? They do similar things. They have
Okay.
similar
Okay.
attitudes and similar interests.
Okay.
This happens in a set of about 12 different types of these kids. Um, that's part of this new generation that's out. They think differently. They eat differently. A lot of these kids, how can you be born not liking meat? That's weird, right?
I know, but there is
But
people.
they don't like
Yeah.
meat. There
Yeah.
you go. And these kids have different attributes. Also, during this time when people were attracted to the opposite race, there was a lot of people reporting that something was tampering with them at night, whether it be the old hag story or something like that. But something was coming to visit them. People began to report abductions. Now, they really didn't talk about it until probably about the 2002
Okay.
is when a lot of people admitted that, before they were married, they were having these encounters,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
And then, of course, a lot of those people, they had interracial marriages and their children were, offspring of these interracial marriages. There have been a lot of people tampered with. Lots of folks tampered
So
with.
you're
And
saying
when I
that,
say when I say tampered with,
yeah.
I mean tampered with, tampered with, tampered with,
Well,
tampered with.
we do know people. There's hundreds and hundreds of people who say that they were put to sleep, or they seen a light, they seen the beings, and they went to sleep. I don't remember, but
Yeah.
they kind of remember being violated, sexually violated, probed, and so you're saying that they were tampered with in
Oh,
a
yeah.
way to genetically change their DNA or some type of genetic altering.
If you can prod a person, right,
Yeah.
before they have offspring, well, then
Yeah.
there you go.
So
And
you
their
can mess.
offspring is in the world. There you are.
So okay.
There you
So
are.
because we know we can do now the CRISPR thing, we know that the human race,
Mhm.
we know how to alter DNA and so that we can genetically alter people and a family lineage. We can actually do that, or we can at least customize it.
Yeah.
But you're saying that's probably fallen angel technology that's already been done, because it's already been done to people violating. I mean, the book of Genesis basically says that the angels took who they wanted and they impregnated them, and then they gave
Mhm.
birth to giants, altered DNA
Yeah.
entities, right?
Yeah. Yep.
Are you saying that the
That's-
people born like that, you're not saying that they are alien? You're saying
No, not
you're
all of
saying
them.
they're just
I'm just saying they're tampered with,
okay.
right? They have these predisposed modes of life, right? A lot of these kids, some of them are not kids, but they have ideologies. Where do you think all this the green movement came from in the first place? It came from alien abductions. That's where it came from.
Wow.
There was no green movement until people began to report alien abductions. And with the children who were abducted, they would always come back and say, well, what do they tell you? Well, they say they didn't tell me anything. They showed me the world was being destroyed by too much technology, right? That
Right.
we were polluting the oceans and this, that, and the other, right?
Yeah,
And
it's
killing
always,
life on the planet.
always about the
This
green.
was,
Yeah.
that's right. This was a resounding message of these people who say they were abducted. Not only were they tampered with, reproductively,
But-
but they were also given a message that that mankind was killing the planet.
So in other words, they were given a false ideology, planted
There you
in
go.
them.
There you go. That came from them. That came from these things.
These things.
Right. That's why I do not believe that they came, that they're, I just don't believe that they're from some other, that they're true aliens. I don't believe that.
No.
They can live in Orion's belt, but that doesn't mean they're aliens.
They're fallen angels. They can be fallen
right?
angels. There's a third of them that were thrown out of heaven. Yeah, they can hang out wherever they want to hang out. They are angelic, but they're dark. They're from the dark side.
When you get rid of semantics, here's how it is, right? An angel is not from Earth. Therefore, an angel is alien.
Yes.
Right?
Right.
It's not indigenous to Earth.
It's not human.
Alien.
It's not human.
It's not from here. That's right. So anything from out there, part of God's creation, where they be the sons of God or others out there,
right?
They're not from here. So to us, they are alien.
I understand.
But they use that alien term, with semantics to try and get a person to believe that somehow, we're talking about a different, far out realm or something. No, I believe it does go back to the ancient story. In Genesis 6.
Yeah.
I believe that the book of Daniel has a lot to do with that too, as far as the kingdom that's now. Because see, there's something in the book of Daniel, and the only reason I keep bringing this up, Pastor Paul, because when I was 6 years old, I understood that statement. I remember my mother; she was in there reading, and I told her what that was, and I was 6 years old.
What are we talking? What part?
So how can in the book of Daniel where it says they will mingle their seed with the seed of men, but they will not cleave one to another.
Yes.
See, when the fallen angels, they took unto themselves wives. Well, the Hebrew word in there is cleave.
Yes.
They cleave one to another, right?
Yes.
But it says in the book of Daniel that in the last kingdom, right? Because it only named 4 in the last kingdom. It was part iron, part clay.
Yes.
It said they would mingle their seed with the seed of men, but would not cleave one to another. In other words, they wouldn't get married, but they would mingle their seed with the seed of man. Now, a lot of people think, well, that's the sons of Seth. I can't subscribe to that either because I've seen too much. But when I was 6, I had a clear understanding of that. That's clear understanding. That's the only reason I stick to that. See, because like most Christians, they understood things before they were ever taught anything in the Bible. That's what God gave them. Nobody else gave them that but God. And so if they stick with that, they can't be thrown off by, this, that, and the other.
Yeah, we shouldn't be shocked at all that the fallen angels would try to and are again mixing the seed of the dark entities with humans because they already did it. I mean, God explained it to us very, very vividly in Genesis 6, and He said this would happen before and after the flood.
Yeah, that's right.
So it's still happening. It still really is happening.
Because in this last day, right? In this kingdom, the kingdom which is part iron, part clay, partly strong and partly broken, because we have no unity, but the same thing has happened again. It's happened again. But unlike other times, that can be proven. That can be proven big time. That can be proven.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. I think that we're living now in a time when strong delusion and grand deception is going to be a part of the, I think back in the day in the Genesis 6, I think it was just point blank. They did it. And everybody knew what was happening, but today it's stealth,
obscured.
It's obscure, right? It's a mirage. It's right. It's
and among this new race, this last, I'm going to call it the 10th generation.
Okay.
Among this 10th generation, there are some in this 10th generation who are born with something in them that is so dark. I bet you could not get near them. You wouldn't want to. You'd get sick if you were near them.
Wow.
You'd be instantly repulsed if you were near them. And there's no reason why anybody should be repulsed at an infant. But it just so happens that every single Christian who ever comes close to certain of these new ones, they are repulsed. They get sick on the stomach. I mean, that's sickness, right? That's just weird within itself, right? But it's a proven thing. Also, these implants, like I believe the guy's name was L.A. Marzulli.
Yes,
right?
yes.
He's his work would be validated when you're talking about implants, because that subject is coming up soon. And when people find out that doctors have removed millions of implants, Okay, that's going to open some eyeballs.
He was one of the first guys to show us surgery where one was implant was removed, and he's in this webinar. L.A. Marzulli is speaking in this webinar, folks, and he said, "I've got new information you've never heard of, Paul. This is going to be, I'm going to blow some minds, but I've got some proof on it." So
because some of your audience, when I guarantee your audience right now, there's somebody out there right now, right? That I'm going to say something just brief. I'm not going to just say something brief, but at certain times when they were in thought, when they were emotionally interacting, their earlobes got hot.
Okay.
Right.
All right.
That's caused by an implant.
Wow.
That's caused by an implant, right? They're stimulated, right, for certain things. They're stimulated so things can be observed.
So are you saying that the implant technology, RFID, the microchip type technology is actually fallen angel technology?
Yeah, but this is beyond that, because when surgeons, military surgeons, when they try to remove them, right, the implant will go into another part of the body.
Hide.
Okay,
yeah.
We don't have anything like that.
No,
we have nothing like that. It also emits pretty high wattage in signals. And then when you take it out, it's dead. So all that's been measured, all that has been observed, all that has been cataloged. And so it's not, some made up stuff. That's real stuff, right?
That's not
and
good.
That material is never rejected by the human body.
That's not good.
That within itself is impossible, because the body rejects anything that goes in. You're not gonna have nerve endings grow on something.
No,
right? Become part of something.
I don't want.
So that's just not gonna work.
Okay, let me jump to another subject, Mike, because this one here you dropped it on us right toward the end of the show. You said there's a date set out there, 2020 in 2027. Is it a date of is it something external headed in our direction? Is it?
Well, let me
help me.
Here's a statement concerning that date.
Okay.
If a person is not completely prepared, safe, tucked in or whatever, that person is just, they're done for.
Okay. Are we talking spiritually, physically? What are we?
We're talking, they're going to be physically done for.
Okay. So they got to be tucked in.
So that would be, they got to be in there, whatever preparations they have. They're going to have to take full advantage of those preparations by 2027, because if they have not done that by 2027, they won't have a chance to.
So now are you saying the whole globe or just certain sections?
That's the world. No, that's the world. That's the world. Has to be ready by 2027. That's a floated date that has been quite persistent, and trillions of dollars has been thrown in that direction.
Now they have this new show out called Paradise, and where they have an artificial city underground, about 25 miles down, with its own artificial sun, and 25,000 people have been hand selected. You have to have a bracelet to get in. I know this is Hollywood, but it's based on. Look, we know probably 100 countries in the world have underground cities or areas that they have preparing for a catastrophic event of extinction level on the earth. I know that's true. Are you talking an extension? Are you saying in 2 years we may be about to have that type of an event?
As the standing, right? The standing statements concerning this date, that if a person is not, if they're not, if they haven't taken advantage of every preparation they have ever made, they're just not going to make it. So there it is. It's almost like they're saying, if you have not gotten into your safe place by then, you're done for.
Well, Apophis is coming in 2029. You're saying 2 years ahead of Apophis.
Yeah, I know a lot of people.
You're not worried about Apophis.
I know a lot of people are because it's I live by rule of thumb. If it's too popular, you'll never hurt us. I hate to say that.
Well, no, I agree with you. I know.
I live by that.
But this 2027 is not popular. I've not heard you. You're the first one to drop that one out of nowhere.
Because it's so close now, right? And then think of this too when it comes to Hollywood. If you have true agents in the field, true people who know things, and you want to tell them something, you would put it in a movie. So when they see that, and the average person, they see the movie, they say, okay, well, it could be. But to the person who knows for sure specific things, they say, okay, we have to move now.
Are we talking about an asteroid here, or Planet X, or something going by, or is there a frigid cold wave? We're gonna go into the ice ages. I mean, what's gonna happen?
No, we're gonna have fire problems.
That's what I thought. So is this an asteroid? A deep?
We're gonna have fire and soot problems, and we have to deal with the void. And we're not just gonna deal with one object. There are gonna be 4 threats from space that will come here.
Now
four distinct threats.
Okay.
And by the way, this is in addition to some of the real problems. But we're gonna have 4 threats, and these 4 threats are not going to be kind to humanity. We live in a time where it appears all things are coming at one time.
Right. It does seem
not separate times.
All the prophecies are coming together
at one time.
Man, I'm thinking of prophecies in Revelation 8, where there's 2 deep impacts that kill about a third of the world each.
And those trumpets, every time I read those in Revelation with those trumpets, they look like they're one big, and they look like the after effects of one huge simultaneous event. They really do. Because the first trumpet, which burns up all the green grass, all the green grass is gone.
Yes.
You mean to tell me people are going to be walking around and all the green grass is burnt up, 1/3 of the trees I don't think people are going to be walking around. If all the green grass is burnt and the 1/3 of the trees is burnt, there's going to be just unequivocal damage on the earth.
1/3 of the people will probably be dead. Right. Wherever that's
going to be bad. So let me tell you about something else that's starting to happen.
Okay.
The earth is under immense pressure, right? There's something happening.
Magma moving, or what do you mean?
Well, there's something happening when people evacuate portions of the earth. It's like oil, like the Gulf oil spill, right?
Yeah.
You cannot drill down and simply take the drill bit out and you're good to go. You can't do that. You have to have terminators and plugs and all sorts of things.
Got to cap it off. Right. Got to cap it off. Yeah.
Because it's a lot of pressure. So what happens if that pressure comes out? And this is funny because back in 93, 2 events happened in 93. Some events happened in 2000. Some events happened during 2011, 2017, 2020. Last year it happened. But when all that gas comes out through the water up to the atmosphere, it's hot gas. It solidifies, right? And it begins to coalesce. It does. So what you have is these, they call them blood rocks, start falling. Actual rocks start falling. The gases are so hot, Pastor Paul, that when they hit the atmosphere, they begin to cool. And they call them blood rocks because they're red.
Okay.
They have like a red tar on them.
Okay, like an iron.
Like a red tar. So you're talking about rocks are falling from the heavens.
Okay, I got it. So in other words, there's an explosion on them. An explosion, and then the rocks fall back with red tar.
No.
Oh, no, you're saying it's coming from outer space.
Look. Gas, just gas, no rocks or anything, just gas goes up, right?
Okay, gas.
And it hits a cold atmosphere.
Okay, I got
so
you.
It coalesces, it condenses. This gas does. Now, the gas was originally metals and rock and all sorts of things, right? Mm-hmm. So when it coalesces, rocks begin to form, and then they fall. This happened in India twice. They were drilling in India. This happened in India twice. It happened in India twice, and that was 2023 and 2022. It happened in India twice. People's homes were damaged and messed up, but these evacuation points, right, are they have put so many plugs into the ground where they were irresponsibly drilling, and they didn't know about that. They're doing everything they can to hold these places intact.
That's wild.
Through volcanism, they're just not going to hold.
They're not going to be able to hold them. So you're saying when there's it's already happened twice. The release of gas, the gas goes way into the heavens, and then the gas coalesces with the change of temperature and oxygen.
Condenses.
And then it then falls as like they're molten rocks.
Big rocks with red tar, with ice mixed
Yeah.
into them too. Ice is mixed into
That's
them.
wild.
That sounds right out of the Bible is what it does. You know,
Yeah,
it's
it
kind of
does.
scary when you observe it. When you see it for yourself or you see a sample of it, you just say, no way, no way, no way, no way, right? No way is what you say.
So it's not volcanic, it's gas.
That's right. It's gas. No, it's not volcanic.
No.
Because only gas goes up.
Yeah.
Right.
I got
now,
you.
we have a lot of places on the earth where people have exploited the earth irresponsibly back in the past.
Yeah.
And they put plugs in the ground, but the
it's not
magma,
gonna hold.
for example,
It's not gonna hold.
For example, Italy. Italy is a place of major concern. Why? Because they have a giant beneath them that will affect the entire earth soon. Right.
So when the Bible talks about fire and brimstone and falling and hail, talk about hail and fire and brimstone falling.
That could be an event just like that.
Okay, I got it.
Could be an event just like that. Now, see, nowadays we put a thin drill bit down there, right?
Yeah.
Back in the day, they didn't do that. They just kept forcefully going in there, and then they would hit one of these pockets, and then everything would break loose. There've been a lot of people who died from that.
Yeah.
That's where they got these plugging these points up with in the first place. They came up with the safety after having gone through this stuff, right?
Mm-hmm.
So we're going to face, those things will be faced, and all this stuff is happening simultaneously because as the Earth continues to heat on the inside and magma is active, it's gonna destroy these concreted plugs that they have in the ground.
I wonder if that's why Peter says the earth is going to melt with a fervent heat. Even the elements are going to burn up. He talks about this at a certain point. Now, I kind of believe that's probably after the millennial reign, unless it happens and it doesn't destroy the whole world. Not everybody dies, maybe just large sections of it. Let's say maybe, Australia or something, or maybe, half of the US or something, or Europe or a portion of Africa, but it doesn't destroy the entire world. But if you're Peter and you're seeing this in a vision and you're writing it, you say, look, even the whole world, things are going to burn up. I mean, it's going to be massive,
I think eventually it will. I think eventually this earth is just not going to be. I'll tell you, Italy by itself has the capacity to destroy the entire earth. How about that?
That's in craziness. I mean,
it's by itself.
But it does say that there's going to be a new heaven and a new earth, because this one's not going to last forever. It's because of some type of event, geothermal.
I think geothermal. It looks like, and it looks like in the Word of God it's quite simple. If we're going to have volcanic eruptions and everything else, right? But here's one thing we can never forget: we have a magnetosphere that is going to go through a changeover period. Right?
Okay. Yeah. It's already affected.
Once it goes into right in the middle of that change, the magnetic fielding around the earth is going to be chaos. Those magnetic field lines are going to be all over the place. During this time, the radiation from the sun, right now, radiation from the sun, if it were like that, could reach the surface of the earth and vitrify everything. Here's what people don't know. The sun does not need to put out a solar flare, right? You can take the quietest time of the sun, and if we had no magnetic shielding, all of us are dead.
Yeah, we got to. That's why we got to have a magnetic.
The slowest solar winds have the ability to cook the earth in less than 18 hours.
Okay.
The whole earth. So the only thing that's keeping us alive in regards to the slowest of solar winds is the magnetic shield.
Yes.
That's right.
That God put there.
It is now chaotic. It's chaotic, and it will not maintain cohesiveness always. It is not. We're going through reversal periods, and every time the magnetic field lines reverse, we go through a period where there is no magnetic shielding in several parts of the earth, which means instant burnout in those areas.
That leaves wide open holes for
that's right.
All the green grass to burn up and everything else in it. Yeah.
Now that's leading to something else. We know we're going through that chaotic period because of all the ice melt and everything else.
Yeah.
And speaking of the ice melt, Pastor Paul, we have gone past the point of no return for the Arctic. Here's why. December 26th, 24th through 26th, they recorded the greatest ice melt event ever recorded in history, right? In Antarctica.
What
So
happened?
all that ice is going away. All of it is. All of it's going away. The water displacement that happened during December was out of this world. The ice is melting far too quickly now. Nobody ever thought it would melt.
It's melting from
this
the bottom
fast.
up, though, isn't it?
Yes, it is. And now from the top down. Now, when you have a glass of water, right? And you have a piece of ice in there, ice cube. That ice cube can stay for a lengthy amount of time. But once it gets down to a certain size, you blink your eye and there's no ice cube. This is the period we're going through now. We're going through that now. That period now.
That's fast.
So that means when this water is being absorbed into the atmosphere almost instantaneously.
Mm-hmm.
And it's causing what's called a, well, I hate to say the name, but I'll say it. It's causing a condition called heavy cloud.
Okay.
These atmospheric rivers and everything else, that is nothing. That is nothing compared to what we're about to see, right?
Heavy
because
cloud.
the event has already happened, right? It's already happened. As the heat comes, the ability for these storms to maintain moisture is going to be out of this world, right? It's going to double the tonnage of the clouds that we normally see over our heads. It's going to double the tonnage. The water potential is going to be dangerous for everybody. Everybody who went through any floods of last year and this year, parts of this year, make sure that you stay mindful of what flooded, because now you're going to have that water and more come in. So these floods that happened were not some one-time event. That's why they no longer say 1,000-year storm. They no longer say 10,000-year storm. They no longer say 500-year storm. They threw all that out because they know it's going to be repetitive.
Is this why
It's
the
gonna
insurance
continue to
companies
happen.
are canceling certain regions? Just we're leaving. State Farm says we're out of here.
That's right, because it's going to continue to happen, right, until we reach that point where all the water just simply goes away. And that's the other bad part. After all the flooding that we have, after this water event that we will surely endure,
yes,
we're not going to have rain at all.
So we're going to go through a lot of rain or floods and rains, and then we're going to go through massive droughts and famine.
Yeah, you're talking droughts, a drought potential of at least 15 plus years, at minimum 11 years. So imagine no rain for 11 years. You know what that's going to do to crops and everything else in the first year.
Up. It's going to dry stuff up like you wouldn't believe.
The rain has destroyed many of the crops. The rain has. This water is causing disease to spread to many animals. I hate to tell people that, but the diseases that we've been encountering, they're about to triple, right? There are going to be new plagues on the scene, animal-borne plagues. There will come a time when, I'd say this too, but I'm just telling you guys what I know, that people are going to have to put their animals down due to sickness. Can you imagine having animals in pain, constant, right? So that time, it's not going to be nice during these times. It won't. It's just simply, it's not going to be. And but we're in it, and this is outside of what mankind can do. Right.
Yeah.
We're talking about what nature's going to do, but and mankind is only going to exacerbate the entire thing.
Now, Jesus said there's going to be a time coming that like the world has never seen before nor ever will again. So it's some kind of catastrophic, cataclysmic period that humanity is going to endure. And there's no way around it. And it's part of, and along with all the rest of the prophecies that are played out, man's reaction, man's treatment of each other, the greed for natural resources, and that's going to get worse and worse as resources are drying up and burning up and breaking off and water. You know what I'm saying? It's going to get worse, right? The reaction of man fighting for survival.
Yeah, they will get. You know what? Mankind is only calm now because he has what he generally wants. Mm-hmm. You take away the comforts of the average person who does not have Christ, and they become just as vicious as the animals in the desert are. They really do. I knew a rich guy who told me the only reason that rich people are nice is because they're rich. That's the only reason. He said if you take away their riches, you really find out who they are. And in my experience, we don't know who anybody is until we've seen them in a time of crisis. If you, whatever you, when a person is in a time of crisis, that's who they really are. And then when that's discovered by the average person, um, those are going to be shocking days. But anybody who belongs to Christ, I'll tell you something, they're put here, they were put here for this time. God does not make mistakes. They're put here for this time, which means there's something in everybody who believes in Christ that can impact everybody around them in a righteous way. All we have to do as believers is continue to believe, continue to work on ourselves, right? To really know some scriptures going forward, because we're going to be dealing with a strong spiritual element also. But we will make a difference wherever we are. But there will come a time when the word says it's going to be very difficult to find the word of God anywhere. That means the people who house the word of God won't be here either.
No, it's right. It's going to be a famine.
Mm-hmm.
And for the word of,
right.
not for bread and water,
That's
but for
right.
the word of God. Not that there won't
That's
be a famine for bread and water, but his point was a famine of truth, a famine of the word.
Right, and I like it because we're the vessels of that word. We're joint heirs with Christ.
Amen.
And Christ was the word of God made flesh and dwelt among men. So we're also authorized to carry the word of God. So if a famine comes, well, then we're not here, are we?
No.
That means many things have taken place. And the Lord was just in what he said he would do. And I believe those days are coming quicker than what people know. I say that because there's still things people don't know about. There's still undisclosed elements to this earth that will just mess a person up. It'll change how they see the world. But people will soon see.
So our faith our faith can't stand cannot be put in the wisdom of men, but in the power of God. And we have to fully surrender to Christ.
Yep.
You know,
absolutely,
you do. You really do.
Absolutely.
And whether you live, whether you die, you belong to the Lord. You got to really get there in your heart, in your soul. You got to love your neighbor as yourself, and you really got to get there. I mean, it's not just the Beatitudes isn't just a nice thing to read. You got to live that way. That's how that's you. You got to take on that divine nature. I think Peter says the nature of Christ, take on the divine nature. And you do when you're born into this kingdom, but you still got to work at it. You still got to strive. You still got to repent and grow. But man, I tell you, you got to have Christ.
It's a process with a victory at the end.
Amen.
And by the way, love is a strength and not a weakness. It is so easy to smack somebody back, isn't it? It's easy. It'd be easy for me to smack somebody back. It's very difficult to hold your peace.
Yes.
And to see them as we once were. I do that with anybody who stands against me. I see them as I once was. I cannot hate them for being an unruly someone, right? Because at some point I was that person too.
Yes.
And but we're at a time that's close, a breakout point where so many things will break out. No one will be able to keep track. No one. But it doesn't matter how good they are. They're not going to be able to keep track of all things that are happening. And we still have to go into detail about some things, Pastor, because the void. There's something I keep calling the void.
Yeah.
It is coming. It's coming.
Do we need to talk about that next week?
It's going to be encountered sooner than. This is
the void.
Yeah, it's not good.
Let's talk about
it'll plunge this earth in a dark. If you've ever been around a stove that went wrong and there's nothing but black soot in the air, right?
Yeah.
Imagine the whole earth immersed in a black soot. Now this goes with what's coming in our direction. We're not going to avoid this black soot.
Okay.
We're not going to avoid it, and that's not going to be a good time.
So we
have to deal with that.
We got 4 events coming up. We got 2027, and we may be getting some of those 4 events or all 4 of them. I don't know. We've got a void coming. We got a planet. We got a binary system, which may be what's causing all of this. Not sure, but let's talk about the void next week. Let's see if what we can uncover with that.
And that also includes what can be seen right now. Right, the void actually scares people right now. Those who can see it it's not a black hole.
It's not a black hole.
No, it isn't. No, it is not a blanket. It's something physical.
Yeah.
But it's almost one of those hopeless things, right? What do you do with? What can you do? That's the only thing you say is you can't dodge it. What do you do? This is a very unfortunate thing, actually.
We're going to talk about that next week.
Yeah, we will. We can line some things out, give it some
All right.
structure and some kind of. Pastor Paul, I'll tell you what, we're gonna have to do. We're gonna have to really line some things out, like a master lining things out, and get something ready for folks, so I can dump on them some things I have that would be that would likely be very beneficial to them.
All right. We're going to line some things out.
I'll get with you on that. I'll get with you on that.
All right. We'll get together and talk, and we'll prepare it for the people. Mike, thank you so much tonight. You gave me a million things. I wrote notes here. You gave me a million things to think about and research and pray about. And we'll line some things out. I appreciate it.
Well, Pastor Paul, God bless you. It's always an honor. And just don't be surprised if there's a breakout of violence suddenly. Please don't be surprised. It's still, even today, tensions are extremely high.
Oh, yes. They're very high.
I mean, very high. Yeah.
All right. Thank you, Mike. The honor's mine. Thank you for coming on tonight. Appreciate it.
God bless you, Pastor Paul.
God bless.
All right.
Bye-bye.